Oh, hey there, children of the night, and welcome to Bob After Dark, the show that takes you into the shadows and goes and says hello everything that goes bump in a night. I'm your host with the most that enjoys toast, Bob, and alongside of me, as always, is my ever wonderful, ever vampiric, ever cape-wearing, and forever the fresh new haircut having.
Hey.
My friend, my brother, my producer, Count Panic himself. Oh, hey there, Count Panic.
Bob, even vampires that are centuries old need to freshen up from time to time, and that's just exactly what I did there.
Yes, it's nice to see you, Count. I haven't seen you in a couple weeks.
I haven't seen you in a couple weeks either, Bob. How you been?
It's been wild. Let's play a couple weekend updates with you before we get to me.
That's fine. And by the way, I'm trying to picture you with a very short haircut as well. I've never seen you with short hair.
No, as long as you've known me. I've been growing my hair out since I was a sophomore in high school. I mean, I get it trimmed once in a great while. I haven't had it in several years.
Do you ever get tired of it?
It's just who I am.
I know. But how crazy would the public outcry would be if you got a crazy haircut?
I've always wondered, but it's just, when you get to a certain point, and that's kind of like your image, it's
your
like
look.
Beard, glasses, long hair. That's how I've always been, I guess, as long as my adult life. As soon as I transitioned from Bobby Anderson to Bob Anderson,
Your look.
It's just who I am. It's my look.
I like it.
Yes.
Well, you asked about the weekends there. It was a good past couple weeks, Bob. Of course, the spring solstice, the spring did occur just like that, and even though it's not the nicest of springs so far, I know today was 40-something degrees,
and we got snow tomorrow potentially.
Yeah, I mean the February was definitely nicer than the March, and we'll see what April has in store. But
yep.
Other than that, Bob, just hanging tight and keep on moving. I know you've been on the road.
I have. So 2 weeks ago, I was doing a bunch of events for Sony Pictures, which actually is going to be paying off. I want to announce it on the show, and then I kind of don't.
Okay.
You know what it is.
I know what it is.
I'll tell you what. You tell me if I should bring up what I'm potentially doing on Monday.
Well, you're paying a visit. So
I'm paying a visit, but I'm.
That's all we know.
Okay, you don't think I should say anything else now?
You can say where you're going, Bob.
Okay, that's fine. So this upcoming Monday, I have been invited by Sony Pictures to enjoy a cocktail with Dan Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd. Now, this is a very limited seating.
Yes, it's a limited to 50 folk. To 50 first folk are going to be able to do something, and then I was invited to the private reception. So, look, I don't know. You guys are into the concept of putting energy into things. Obviously, we are a metaphysical friendly show. If there's any form of readiness to do this, then that's where we're at,
Mm-hmm. And this is not your first go around with Mr. Aykroyd.
No, you and I have been trying for years. You and I have been trying. I've met him this will probably be my fifth time meeting Dan, fourth or fifth time meeting Mr. Aykroyd.
You can call him Dan.
I'll call him Dan. Hey, Uncle Dan, Unky Dan, as I say. I've met him about 5 times in my time, 4 or 5 times, and he's always been such a sweet guy every time I've ever met him. The one time I met him, it was right about the time Bob After Dark was just taking off. 2018, I think. 2019. Whatever year I did Ghostbuster Fan Fest in LA. And I actually ate breakfast where Dan Aykroyd came and visited my table. And I knew what I was going there for was to pitch to have Dan come on my show and talk about the paranormal. I don't want to talk about Ghostbusters, despite, obviously that's what kind of has inspired my adult life for the past 10 years. But I don't want to talk about Ghostbusters with him. Dan Aykroyd is probably one of the most interesting paranormal people you'll ever meet in your life. He's got a big background in, paranormal investigations and research and the occult and UFOlogy. The guy's very smart, and his grandfather did a lot of important work. So all the work I've been doing with Sony and the Windy City Ghostbusters over the past couple weeks have led me to this point, and I'm just very excited to have the opportunity to maybe maybe get him the chance to get on the show.
Well, you know,
we're working on. We're gonna do. I'm putting all of my, I'm going blazer shopping to like go get myself ready for this because apparently my double-breasted suit jacket's a little too outdated.
Hey, you gotta wear whatever impresses.
Yeah, I'm not going there as a Ghostbuster. I'm going there as Bob from Bob After Dark. So it's, we're gonna do the thing.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm sure it's gonna be a great time. I mean, all Ghostbusters. I know he's my Blues Brothers.
Blues Brothers, Coneheads.
Yeah, Coneheads. Yeah, a lot of stuff. But, the fact of the matter is the man likes the paranormal.
Oh, he does. That's where Ghostbusters came from, was his love of the paranormal world.
And he sells his own alcoholic beverages now.
Yes, he had a wine company that he let go, but he did that's the whole point of the thing. It's a Crystal Head vodka event, which is his company. He also dabbles in other adult stuff, but let's just say the opposite of drinking when it comes to adult stuff is smoking, and that's all I'm gonna say.
You can ask him about that.
I'll skip on that. So we're gonna see how it pans out, right? No promises, but this isn't probably my best opportunity I'm gonna have. Closest at least. I mean, I had him at breakfast. He did ask me if I took guests, and I was like, yeah, for you I would take 12. Mm-hmm. So hopefully this means I'm going to get him a chance to get on the show, even if it means just a 30-second interview while I'm there. Keep an eye out. Bob After Dark will be at Wonderverse next week for the Dan Aykroyd appearance.
There you have it, Bob. Well, I wish you Godspeed with that, and you've been traveling. I
wasn't. I just got him from Boston yesterday. So I am just wiped, but I'm good. I'm happy to be here, and tonight's a very special episode of Bob After Dark.
Yeah.
Yes. Who is joining us here very soon to talk about stuff?
Oh man, we got Mentalist,
the master of the mystical arts himself,
mind bender extraordinaire,
illusionist, illusionist extraordinaire.
I just said extraordinary.
Oh, fine. Illusionist Esquire.
We'll take that instead. Joe Diamond is on.
Joe Diamond. We haven't had Joe on in a hot minute.
Yeah.
And I just happened to get in touch with him when he was in Hawaii.
Oh, there you go.
And one thing led to another, and we're going to have Joe Diamond on the show to chit-chat and talk about, his life. Because he's had a lot of... Between the two of us, Joe has had the lot cooler of a life over the past few years, and I'm really looking forward to, being able to chat with him about stuff that he's done, because there's some impressive stuff going on in his life. So we're gonna, for all of you newcomers, you guys are gonna hear about who he is, his background and stuff, and maybe, just maybe, he'll do a trick for us.
It's been how many? It's been
years since we've had Joe on. Just timing never panned out the right way, but now, Joe took time out of his evening to have us, so we do have to unfortunately take a break here at some point.
So here's what we're going to, for the live people on WJOB are watching on Jed TV. Yes, the news will have, and Andrew Garcia, our news guy, he's a pretty quick fella, so he'll knock the news out of the way. We'll play a song during that.
Yep.
But in the meantime, I hear we got some news stories?
I do. So there's going to be spooky news of the week.
Yeah.
We're going to get through the WJOB bits that we have to get through, because remember, podcast fans, I'm a radio talk show personality as well, and working in live radio means that sometimes you got to
take a break
and do things. For example, when the tornado came right in our backyard, that turned from paranormal show to weatherman real quick.
Yeah. That was your magnum opus.
My Corpus Christi. Oh, that's an inside joke.
Tom Skilling that night.
Yeah, I had to. It was a scary moment, but I digress. So, Count Panic, if this is your first time ever watching or listening to Bob After Dark, we are your weekly show where we talk about legends, lore, and the supernatural, things that go bump in the night, lights in the sky, weird cryptid stories, and, of course, Count Panic's favorite, super famous magician.
Oh man, well, Houdini's
that's a great one.
That's like the all-time great, right? Houdini.
Yes,
right,
I'm interested to know what Joe's take on
like
this.
A modern day.
Houdini is a very timeless character, especially if you're into the occult. That guy had a very fascinating life of debunking things.
Yeah. He was a trendsetter.
He was so good at what he did. Would you like to know who mine is?
Who's your
Penn
favorite?
and Teller.
Penn and Teller.
Penn and Teller.
I think Joe Diamond has.
I think he has some stories to tell us about Penn and Teller,
yeah.
so we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So we usually divide the show up into two parts. First part of the show is the weird, spooky news of the week. That's where you, the fans, and me, the Bob, go scouring the internet for the weird and unusual that are hitting headlines. Anything from aliens being among us and cryptids and ghosts making it into major media and advances in science that borderline on science fiction. Check your messenger account, Panic. You have a video to check out to play for us here in a moment if we have time. Our first news story actually comes to us from Jim Norman, a dear friend of mine. He shared this with me from Entertainment Weekly, which is a very strange news place to get like the stuff that we cover, but it happens once in a while. This is written by Joey Nalfi. Whoopi Goldberg confirms that space aliens are among us, and I quote, "They're already here."
Wow.
Whoopi Goldberg, the View moderator, intergalactic Star Trek queen, and anti-cactus warrior, has done what the United States government has never dared in nearly 250 years of existence: confirm that extraterrestrial life has made contact with humanity. The Oscar-winning actress and apparent interstellar explorer told co-host Wednesday that she is fully aware that aliens are among us on Earth after View guest and Ghostbusters franchise star Kumail Nanjiani, gosh, I can't pronounce his name, but Kumail, and said he believes in space-dwelling beings. I think they're waiting for us to clean up a little bit so they can come here and tell us we're really messing things up, Nanjiani joked before Goldberg spoke of her feelings. "They're already here," she said calmly. They've been here for quite some time. The stunned gentleman turned to Goldberg for further information, as she did not elaborate how or why she knows such information. "And what are they doing?" he asked, in which she responded, "They're watching us." "They're watching us," he said, before Sarah Haynes attempted to soften the impact of Goldberg's stunning revelation with some levity. "She talks to ghosts, not aliens, duh," Haynes said, referring to Goldberg's role in the classic movie Ghost. "I got you, girl." Entertainment Weekly has reached out to a representative of The View for further information on how Whoopi Goldberg knows aliens exist. This isn't the first time Goldberg has discussed aliens on The View. The subject came up multiple times in 2023 when the actress was reacting to a congressional hearing on UFOs that yielded claims to governments possess non-human body parts by telling her co-hosts she already knew that information. Later in September, she got up from her seat at the Hot Topics table to analyze a large photo of a reported alien body, indicating to the panelists that her findings in the moment concluded that it's, and I quote, "personally dead." The View airs weekdays at 11 o'clock in the morning. Hashtag Panic's Take. Thanks, Jim Norman, for that.
Yeah, aliens, for the longest time, we've heard talks about them, right? Especially in the past couple of years with the government saying, hey, you guys might be right. They are real. We're hiding them, actually. But Whoopi Goldberg, I mean, I feel like she's kind of late to the party on this, right, Bob? I mean,
I'd say so.
She's not really saying anything revolutionary in terms of, well, a lot of people already know.
Yes. All right, you ready for our next news story?
Sure.
This next one comes from unexplainedmysteries.com. Man vanished without trace while seeking vibrating cave near Area 51. The disappearance of Kenny Veach still remains a topic of debate and intrigue almost 10 years later. One of the most mysterious and widely debated disappearances of recent years, the case of YouTuber Kenny Veach, who vanished without a trace after venturing into the Mojave Desert to find a, and I quote, vibrating M-shaped cave near the secretive Area 51 facility, is certainly an unusual one. Veach had been a keen solo hiker and explorer who had known to head off into the wilderness, sometimes for days at a time, carrying little in ways of supplies or equipment. He enjoyed heading off the beaten track, and his YouTube videos would follow him on his adventures. Things took a rather peculiar twist in June 2014, however, when he took to the comments to state that he had discovered a strange M-shaped cave near the fall of Neal's Air Force Base, which is situated to the south of Area 51. Upon approaching the cave, he recalled experiencing a strange vibration sensation. The closer I got to the cave, the worse the vibrating became, he wrote. Suddenly I became very scared and hightailed it out of there, and that was one of the most strangest things that's ever happened to me. I solo hike across the mountain tops that most people wouldn't dare to go to. I have been in more caves than I can count. I play with rattlesnakes for fun. But this one particular cave was beyond anything I have ever encountered. In the months that followed, Veach ventured out again in an attempt to relocate the cave to prove to viewers that it really existed, but despite retracing his steps, he was unable to find it. It was when he embarked on another hike in a further attempt to find the cave on November 10th, 2014. However, that he disappeared without a trace, never to be seen again. Search and rescue teams later found his cell phone inside an abandoned mine, and his car was parked several miles away, but there was no sign of Veach himself or might have been following him. His disappearance went on to generate a number of conspiracy theories, with some speculating that he had found the cave and that something had happened to him inside, while others suggested that he had been caught and arrested by the military for venturing where he didn't belong. There is a theory that a combination of personal circumstances have compelled him to venture out that day with the intention of, unfortunately, not wanting to come back, if you can read between the lines there, guys, because his body was never found, though. To this day, exactly what happened to Kenny Veach remains a total mystery, and this is the 10-year anniversary of that disappearance. Hashtag Panic's Take.
So it seems like the cave is in question here, Bob, right?
Yes. Yeah. What did he find in the weird vibrational cave?
Well, it could be really anything. The caves, though, I'm not one for rocking the boat too much, and going to the caves, not really my thing. You never know what's going to happen, Bob, to you inside a cave.
Yes.
Are you a cave dweller?
I have never been. Well, I think I've been inside a cave a handful of times in my life. I don't want to say I've never done it, but I can't pinpoint a time that I've done it. I want to say I've done Mammoth Cave in Louisville when I was younger.
Oh,
that could be a false memory too. So my family traveled through that Kentucky area to get to Tennessee quite often as a kid.
You were there in your dreams.
So I feel like I went to Mammoth Cave at some point. I could be wrong, but I was a real little kid back then, so I don't remember.
We'll take your word for it.
Exactly. How about you? You ever go spelunking?
No, I'm not a big spelunker.
You're not a big spelunker?
No. Maybe the caves in Roxana, but that's about it.
There's caves in Roxana?
Yeah. Behind Roxana Video.
I do like doing urbex and urban exploration, and I do stuff like that often, but we have a caller.
We do have a caller.
Caller, you're on the line.
Take it live?
Take it live.
Okay.
Caller, you're on the line.
Hey there, Bob.
Hey
nice
there, John. Yes, nice to be back, sir. How are you?
Pretty good. You're doing a little traveling there, huh?
Yeah, never ending, John.
Hey, that's okay. You know what? You got to get out of here once in a while.
Yes.
Then you come back refreshed. Hey, real quickly, I just wanted to call. Congratulations on that invitation with Dan Aykroyd there.
Thank you. We're hoping it turns into something. We really do, because
you know what? I hope so too. I'm can't wait to you give us a little feedback on that. Can you say where this is going to take place? Or no?
Wonderverse in Oak Brook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's what is that?
It's it's a multimedia entertainment facility. They have some pretty good food there. They have some themed drinks for so many different properties. Obviously, the big draw there for me is they have a Ghostbusters bar inside there that's themed after the movie, and they have a VR experience there. They have arcade games and whatnot as well, but it's a cool place to go for anybody. They have fun cocktails, etc., etc. But
yeah, it sounds pretty nice.
Yeah, the event's going on next Monday. It's open to the public, but the private reception for Dan is going to be given out to, I believe, random people that are going to be there.
Okay, but you're I'm on the in though, right?
Oh yeah, no, I have a personal invitation from someone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, hey, good luck with that again, and hopefully something good will come out of it, and we'll be waiting to hear from you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, John.
Appreciate you too, Bob. Take care.
Excellent. All right, we have one more story, and then let's get to Mr. Diamond, shall we?
Yeah.
All right, last news story. You have a YouTube video to show, but let me read off the story first. How does that sound? All right, so security guard stumbles upon Alexa devices praying in the middle of the night. This is written by our old pal Tim Binal over at Coast to Coast AM. I haven't used him in a while.
No,
but this is a really cool story, so I didn't want to pass on it. An eerie video circulating on social media in Mexico shows the moment when a department store security guard stumbles upon a group of Alexa devices praying. That's praying in the middle of the night. The bizarre incident reportedly occurred earlier this month as the man was making his rounds in the Iron Palace shop in Mexico City. At approximately 2 o'clock in the morning, the security guard was stunned when several of his store's Alexas suddenly began reciting Catholic devotion known as the Chaplet of the Divine Mercy. Wow. Particularly chilling about the strange scene was that there appeared to be one device leading the virtual prayer service, which echoed throughout the otherwise empty store. Since being posted online over the weekend, the spooky video has gone viral in Mexico, amassing a staggering 13 million views to date and sparkling all manner of theories as to what unfolded in the department store that night. Some viewers offered the intriguing suggestion that perhaps the devices were being used by ghosts in an attempt to hasten their journey to the afterlife, when others theorized that the incident might be some kind of Easter-related divine message. Meanwhile, more skeptical viewers said that someone could have simply programmed the devices to recite the prayer as a part of an elaborate prank to terrify the unfortunate security guard. What do you make of the haunting video? Count Panic?
So I'm going to watch it here, Bob. This has sound. So
yes, and we're good. This is, it's all in Spanish.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to tell you that, my assumption is there's probably, we're good. It's not like the last time. That's all I got to say.
And if they're cussing, it's in Spanish.
Yes,
so
yes.
All right. For the folks watching on Jed TV, here it is. And for those that listen on the radio, you could hear it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Misericordia de nosotros y del mundo entero. Por su dolorosa pasión, ten misericordia de nosotros y del mundo entero. Padre eterno, te ofrezco el cuerpo y la sangre, el alma y la divinidad de tu amadísimo Hijo nuestro Señor Jesucristo, en expiación por nuestros pecados y por los del mundo entero. Por su dolorosa pasión, ten misericordia de nosotros y del mundo entero. Por su dolorosa pasión, ten misericordia de nosotros y del mundo entero. Por su dolorosa pasión, ten misericordia de nosotros y del mundo entero.
Yeah.
That's crazy there, Bob. So that's basically what you see there is them actually, it's really Alexa's praying in Spanish.
So it has been several years since I've done any kind of Catholicism research or study and or practice of. However, I'm familiar with the Divine Mercy. You might be a little bit more familiar with it than me, but I do know that my father used to listen to it every day when it would come on the Catholic radio and television shows.
Yeah.
I wish John would have called in after the fact, but the Divine Mercy, can you give us a quick general idea of what that prayer means?
Yeah.
That's very specific.
It's a very specific prayer, and I don't think it's really used that. I mean, at least I
think it's an old school Catholic, so that's why I was hoping maybe your dad will call back after our commercial break.
Maybe he prayed it as a kid.
Yeah, exactly. But it's interesting that that's a weird coincidence if they programmed all of them to do that, and especially if one Alexa was leading the prayer, because I know the Divine Mercy is the person leading the prayer starts this, the chant, and then everybody follows along with the refrain.
But with that though, I mean, for that to happen, where all the Alexas get in sync, somebody could hack into that, right?
Yeah, you can program it to do that, but you would have to that's a lot of work to prank one person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's strange.
That's going above and beyond basically the Call of Duty to get that done there.
Sounds good. Now we need to take a commercial break.
We do, because
WJOB is doing a commercial break.
For an update, yes. Our guy in the studio, he needs to do a quick news bit. He will do that. So here's what we're going to do. We'll play a song.
Yes. So for our radio fans, you're going to hear a song.
Then we'll come back.
But for the Jed TV people that are watching, you're going to get news.
You're going to get news.
You're going to get news.
Well, you're going to get... No, you won't get... You'll hear a song. But
Jed TV.
He's just recording the news.
Oh, I got you. I understand.
So we'll hear
you'll hear the song regardless, and then when we come back...
Joe Diamond.
Joe Diamond.
Yes.
All right, so you're watching Bob After Dark right here on WJOB, home and face of Region News Source and spooky stuff.
That was good, Bob. There you go. Yeah.
Welcome to Ghostly.
Pat, what are you doing?
What? I want people to know that we're a podcast that takes a deep dive into some of the scariest ghost stories.
But we don't do the creepy voices or weird sound effects. We debate the ghost stories. And aren't you supposed to be the skeptic?
I am, but they'll find that out once they listen.
Look, all you have to do is tell them to listen to Ghostly, and that our listeners get to decide which stories are real.
And which stories are just old folklore.
Exactly.
Download Ghostly wherever you find great podcasts.
Oh, jeez.
Set on you, Count Panic.
Yes, George Harrison. Where do you rank him in the top 4 of the Beatles?
Top one.
I think I agree with you.
I think George was the George, Ringo, John, Paul.
Okay, Ringo pretty high on the list.
Ringo's a genius, like 1,000,000%. But that's a story for another day. Maybe I'll ever do a conspiracy theory episode. I would do it on the Paul McCartney.
Oh yeah,
it's a good conspiracy.
Yeah,
anyway, Count Panic, what'd you do during break?
During break, Bob. Well, during the break, let me tell you what I did there.
What did you do there?
For the first time ever, I went for real spelunking.
You went spelunking?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Mammoth Cave.
What'd you think of the Mammoth Cave?
I saw your picture on the wall. You were there.
I was there. Yeah. Never let back in.
Do not let this man.
Do not let this man back in the Mammoth Cave.
What did you do?
You know what I did during break, Count? I took up a new hobby.
What?
You know, are you familiar with the game Foursquare?
Yes, Bob. I heard that.
Yeah, I went professional Foursquaring.
You did?
I
How was it?
I'm number 3 NA.
Well, hey.
You know, we're a little late than I wanted to be with our guest tonight, but sometimes stuff just happens. He doesn't need an introduction, but because he's just absolutely wonderful. Words I can do is describe him not. But he is the master of mystical arts.
Yeah.
Illusionist, mentalist.
Mindbender.
I wouldn't, I stole his joke many moons ago. I always thank him whenever I use it in my publicity stuff about being a medium and being, I steal that from him. Joe Diamond, everybody, friend of Bob After Dark, and my personal favorite magician in the entire world. Say hello to Joe Diamond, everybody.
Hello, everybody, and this is Joe Diamond saying hello back to everybody, and if we all think it, we'll just create one big psychic loop, and the universe will start to implode on itself and create a new parallel universe. It'll be great.
Joe, thanks for being patient with us tonight.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me back. It's been a blast seeing the show grow over the last few years, and we've passed like ships in the night a couple times, and
I've always seen the back of your head.
because I was just we were at like the same event like over the summer or something. And I was communing with a different level of spirit. We'll talk about that maybe in another different level. But and you messaged me and I was like, oh my gosh, I would have loved to have like run into you because I ran into some other people there. I run into friends and
all
sorts of different weird events. And near where I live in the Pleasant Prairie, Kenosha County area, it's embracing its weirdness. Finally. Yes. So yeah. By the way, also congrats to you for the whole, Ghostbusters stuff. And
thank you.
The show and seeing Dan Aykroyd, which by the way, while listening and when you were talking about the Dan Aykroyd thing, I did pull a tarot card. When you're talking about the hanging out with Dan soon and talking about wanting to ask him to come on the show.
Yes.
What I pulled was the Lovers, which is about fate and free will. Fate is about bringing people together, and then you have to make the choice once you're in that situation. So I can't think of a better card to describe what's going on with that. So we'll be continuing to send you good vibes because I think you're going to get the opportunity. I think that's a sign if I've ever seen one. And you're so humble too. Like, oh yeah, this is like my 5th or 6th time talking to Dan Aykroyd. No big deal. No big deal.
But all my interactions with him, I had one prolific experience with him. The first time I ever met him, I whacked him in the face with a proton pack by total accident. I met him at the 2016 premiere of Ghostbusters Answer the Call, and he handed me a tiny bottle of Crystal Head vodka, and he's like, "Are you 21, cadet?" And I'm like, Yes, Mr. Aykroyd, I'm 21. And he's like, good. And then I bumped into him somewhere else, and then I finally saw him again at, Ghostbusters Afterlife premiere, and then I saw him at I saw him at Ghostbusters Fan Fest. Now I'll see him this upcoming Monday at Vodka signing. But it is
Great.
I want you to know, Joe, I don't get excited about things these days, but I want you to know that you pulling a tarot card, I totally what I call the seal excitement clap, like off camera. I went arf arf. He pulled a card for me, arf arf.
Yes.
So, Joe, there are plenty of new Bob After Dark fans who do not know your wonderful, background. So let's get into it. Who is Joe Diamond?
So yeah, well, like you said, it's kind of hard to put me in a box, and in many ways that
Of
has
course.
been by design. But in many ways, it's also been my greatest blessing and my greatest curse in some ways. So the only word that I would say you were technically incorrect on is illusionist.
Oh, my apologies.
Oh no, that's fine, and that's part of. Again, that's part of my own design, and so when people are confronted with something they don't know what to put a label on, they find the closest adjacent to it. So so illusionist, that's the equivalent. So let's back up a little bit,
Sure.
and then we can leap into that. So so some call me a mind reader, some call me a mentalist. The joke you referenced earlier that I use in my shows is I always say, "Oh, by the way, I'm not a medium, I'm a large, and I count my belly."
I totally have stolen that joke.
Hey, it's based on a street joke. I said it at a couple shows, and a couple of our mutual friends actually said that was their favorite joke, and it was one of my wife's favorite jokes when we first met, and so it's just become like one of my go-to opening jokes. I have a few other jokes that are based on my my name as well when I open shows. So yeah, so the way I kind of do the elevator pitch these days is the shows I do are instead of a magician standing on stage pulling rabbits out of hats, I'm standing on stage and pulling thoughts out of people's minds. My shows involve everything from having people think of names of loved ones or old pin codes and me guessing those. In some of my shows that I've done in like historic locations, only 13 people were admitted per show. And we talked about different topics like mystics from the past and time travel and other metaphysical topics. And those shows continue to grow over the years in the Chicagoland, McHenry County area, to the point where last year I started doing shows at the Woodstock Opera House, which has kind of another Ghostbusters tie-in, and that it's in Woodstock where Bill Murray and Harold Ramis filmed the movie Groundhog Day.
Yes.
And if you've for listeners, the moment when Bill Murray jumps out of Bill Murray's stunt double jumps out of a building and during the suicide sequence of that movie, that building he jumps out of is actually an old theater that actually Orson Welles got his start in and everything. So I've performed in that theater a few times in the last few years. It's, of course, reportedly haunted. And I got to do a show there, 2 shows there this last Halloween, one the weekend before Halloween and on Halloween night with ghost tours afterwards. It was an absolute blast. And after only auditioning 63 times this last year, I finally had my national non-cable TV debut of being on the TV show Penn and Teller Fool Us, because Penn and Teller, they're diehard skeptics when it comes to mind reading and psychics. In fact, Penn has had a number of very humorous we'll just say rants about one of my childhood heroes, the Amazing Kreskin.
Yes.
And how much he doesn't like him. So it's always been an uphill battle for me trying to get on that show. And there's not really a lot of TV or for lack of a better term, mainstream media opportunities for someone in this line of work. There is for comedians and improv and a lot of the stuff I use in my work. But so in the umbrella of the mystery arts or the magical arts, you've got like magicians, you've got like hypnotists, You've got, mind readers, mentalists, that's the subcategory I'd be in. And then the other subcategory of the magical arts would be illusionists. And those are ones who like saw their assistants in half, make them levitate and all that stuff. So technically in that umbrella, I would be a mentalist, not an illusionist, technically. So it's kind of like calling Bob Dylan a pop artist. Yes, they're both musicians, but not technically the same. But again, I've been called worse. I've had people claim what I do is somehow satanic. I've had people say everything I do is a trick, and that's part of the fun of it a little bit too. Is that there are times I'm using, straight ahead psychology, straight ahead stagecraft, and then there are other times where I'm like, I'm just going to trust my intuition here, and we're going to see where this goes. Or, hey, we're going to try something with a spirit bottle here. Here's what I know about how it works. Script ends. Let's see where it goes.
Right.
You and I have done a spirit bottle.
I was going to say, I've been honored and blessed to be able to sit down with a spirit bottle session with you.
Yeah, and again, like that, like, yes, I have, like, at the opening, for lack of a better term, I have the, instructions, or lack of a better term, the script of how this works, where these come from, how I make them. But then after that, it's a choose your own adventure, and even I don't know where it's gonna go from there. And so it's a very fun and unique art form, and as a result, I've gotten to meet a lot of amazing people. Penn and Teller being one of them. I mean, yes, even though I am very much in the hippy dippy, I do believe our minds are all connected, and I have had weird paranormal experiences. Penn and Teller, of course, had a show on Showtime for many years that I can't say the show title.
No, you can't.
On your show, but I loved that show.
It's a good one
on that show, but I loved that show. In many ways, that show formed who I was today in some ways, even though I didn't agree with all of it. And so I still have the highest respect for them. I saw them perform in my 20s. I actually flew to Las Vegas and sat in their front row and watched them. This is back when they still did their bullet catch, the magic bullets. They called it the magic bullets, not the bullet catch, for artistic reasons. There's a whole other story we can get into with that.
Sure.
But I got to see them do that live and in person. And then only 15, 16 short years later, I got to be performing on their stage with them on each side of me, with a sold out Vegas crowd and TV cameras all around us as we filmed some mind reading with them. So it's been an incredible journey for sure.
I was going to say, I mean, when that's got to be awesome to do a trick in front of,
Penn and Teller.
Yes.
Intimidation, is that something that happens to you? Would be in that moment? What's going through your head?
Well, here's the thing too. I originally pitched doing something with tarot cards for them, and that's what originally got me on the show.
Okay,
that was the original. I had hired consultants. Actually, one of the consultants that I hired, he's in the UK. We Zoomed. And he's worked on the live shows of some big names in the UK. He's also worked behind the scenes on television here in the US for people like David Blaine. And so he has experience both on stage and with TV. So I was like,
you hired a good person then.
I hired a very good person, and he was worth every penny. And then I talked with a couple other friends who have been on the show who got to share with me their experience, while also talking to me about what I was planning on doing, and did about 3.5 months of work on this whole thing with tarot cards. And no joke, about a month and a half before I fly to Vegas to film what you saw, the producers just kind of go, we kind of like the original thing you sent with just playing cards. Are you okay with just switching back to playing cards?
It's a unique thing you do, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're TV producers. Am I going to say no and risk not going on the show?
Yeah, of course. It's like, no problem. I'm happy to pull whatever out of it. Can I just continue to do this?
Well, that, and also, like, the way I see it, too, is, like, I've done certain things with tarot cards, but never that, what you saw on the show.
Sure.
my plan was to kind of combine the two for that. So doing that, I'm kind of trying hard to best describe where I'm coming from as, with my creative process and how I think about stuff. Like if I were going to do something that was just playing cards, that ironically probably wouldn't have been the thing I would have chosen.
Okay.
But they really liked it as just playing cards, and also I see it as I'm coming into their house. They've been doing this for 10 years. I'm just now invited. In my head, I'm like, and I do still believe this. The producers know better than me about what works best on their show.
Of course.
I don't know if they were hesitant on tarot cards with the network or Penn and Teller, or there might have been a chance there was an aspect of the presentation where I talked about Pamela Coleman Smith, the original artist of tarot cards, having synesthesia. So what I was going to do is I was going to have Penn and Teller, I was going to have Penn hum a piece of classical music and Teller tap out a piece of classical music. And that was apparent. And that was going to be part of the story for me to find out what tarot cards they chose. Because Pixie claimed that these images came to her when she listened to classical music. So that was a whole part of the story, which I really thought was going to be fun and a fun bit of byplay with them. And someone else did something kind of similar where, and this is what you got to realize when you're going on a show that has over 60 acts over the span of, several months, and they're all filmed in 2.5 weeks. A guy did a thing where they were putting I think it was like Scrabble tiles in his mouth in a completely different episode of the show. And he was tasting what Scrabble tiles they were, which is similar but different to what I was doing. So I don't know if they thought it was too similar to that. I don't know if they got cold feet on tarot. I don't know if they just thought, let's just have them do cards. So I don't know the reasoning, but I took the challenge, and it actually, I had to go deeper into myself rather than hide behind this, for lack of a better term, the spooky object, the tarot cards that, and I think there would have been some fun byplay with Penn and Teller of like going to the 2 Las Vegas skeptics and going, boom, here's a pack of tarot cards. Like, I think that's something fun about that. But I instead just went into my own history which is true, which is people in my very religious school thought playing cards were of the devil. And so I went down that rabbit hole, and it worked out good because Teller's a former teacher. Also, I don't know. I want to double check with you real quick because I'm being aware of the clock and everything.
We're good on time.
Good,
As long as you want to be here, you're fine.
Okay, good. Because I don't want to go over.
What's over for us?
This is local radio.
This is gonna say, Joe, you're fine.
This is local radio.
We're
not like
Joe. I'll take
Penn and Teller.
Joe, I'll take the FCC fine. It's no problem.
I would say, okay, fine. We're gonna do a deep dive then, especially for your show, Bob. Bob, I was saved by the spirit of my dear departed mentor on stage in Las Vegas.
Tell us that story immediately.
Okay, so the person who taught me that piece of card magic was a gentleman by the name of Eugene Berger. He had a background in spiritualism, philosophy, religion. He taught religion, religious histories and religion in Evanston. He did a show called Hauntings in the attic of a house in Evanston with 4 friends, going, in his like mid 30s. Super, super cool dude. And then he woke up at age 39 and realized, why am I going to stop following other people's dreams and follow my own? Quit all of his educational work and became a full-time magician. And he became, no joke, like magic's guru. If you look up videos about him, when he did a card trick, he talked about the Spanish Inquisition. When he broke a piece of thread and put it back together, he talked about Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva and the creation and destruction and rebirth of the universe. Like, this guy, crazy. I had like just over the top, amazing stuff. He could amaze anyone. He could fool anyone. He could do a deep dive on any kind of deep religious topic, all of that. And he had the deepest voice, could look over the glasses, big white beard. And he yeah, he just taught me so much. He taught me I could talk for a whole half hour just about him, but he taught this piece to me when I was about 20 years old. Told me what books it was in and everything. And of course, I got the books and referenced those and everything. So he taught that to me. That's the thing that all these years later gets me on a plane to Las Vegas to perform with Penn and Teller.
Mm.
I am the last to film that day. We are downstairs in their workshop. I'm told to be there at around 3:00 for rehearsals. 4:00 for rehearsals, but to come at 3:00 because the crew and everyone's going to have lunch at the restaurant next door. And then I can hang out with the crew, eat, get free food, and then, go to my tech rehearsal. Well, I go to dinner or lunch or whatever, and sitting in the dining room is Teller. Now, one of the big things about the show is we're to stay hidden from Penn and Teller the entire show. Penn and Teller do not know anything about anyone who comes out on that stage until they announce us. So even when they have friends, even when Penn's own child, Moxie, was on the show, Moxie lied to Penn for 2 straight weeks about where they were. And it's a secret. It is a secret. Now, I don't think Teller knows who I am. I do have a few mutual friends, but it's the rules.
Right.
And also, the producers of the show don't want anyone complaining. I wouldn't do this, but they don't want someone complaining, oh, they knew I was coming on the show ahead of time. They had time to look me up, know what kind of stuff I do, and to research me. So it's for everyone's benefit. It doesn't matter why it's the rules. It's the rules. So I had to dive into one of the booths and call my producer over, who then called the main producers of the show over and had me keep my head down in a booth while we waited for Teller to leave. And one main producer's they put food in front of me. They're like, eat. And he's like, I want your head so far down. I want to see mashed potatoes on the end of your nose, young man. And I'm like, I've never felt more in trouble and part of a group at the same time. So starting the day off hiding from Teller, great time. We go to rehearsal. I do tech rehearsal. It goes great. That's around 4. Find out I'm the last to film at the filming from 7 to 9. So now I'm just downstairs in the workshop for the next few hours. All the acts come down from their rehearsal. And we all start to warm up because it's all our first times. There was only one person who wasn't. Sorry, I'm going to do that again. There was only one person who had been on the show before. Everyone else was the first time. And they all start calling us up one by one, and you don't come back. So it's like a weird reverse Saw Kill Room Willy Wonka type thing.
Okay.
I start off by myself. All these equally nervous performers from all over the country come down and beyond. This one really sweet girl, I won't mention her name. She's literally about to announce her episode in the next day or so. But I'm super excited for her. She was the only one who came back afterwards, but even then, sweetheart. But I was so mad because she wouldn't confess. How'd it go? Good. Penn and Teller in good spirits? Yeah. Did you have fun? Yeah. Did you get a trophy? What? How'd it go? Tell me. But she was super sweet. I read cards for her down there, and that kind of distracted me from what I had to do. So I'm finally brought up after this whole painstaking process. I'm brought out. Penn and Teller are already sat at the table. By the way, if anyone wants to watch the clip, you can see the clip. Just type my name into YouTube. Neon Fool Us is the very first thing you'll find.
Oh, we're going to play a clip for you.
Yeah, I'm
here.
gonna try to get
we're
it
going to play a clip.
All right. So mini spoilers. You won't see any of this in the clip. This is all behind the scenes. So I come out. Penn and Teller already sat on the stage. Just my name is up on the screens, and my giant head is on the screen behind me. My face is the size of a building. It's in real life, I was so sickened. I was like, ugh, oh no,
oh no!
Me. And then I looked at a monitor and realized shrunk down. It just looked like a stage. I was like, okay, fine. Penn and Teller couldn't have been nicer. Could not have been nicer. Penn says, "Hey, Joe, good to see you," shakes my head. Teller looks up at me and very sincerely goes, "Hello, I'm Teller."
So he talked.
He talked?
Oh, yeah, Teller talks. Oh, yeah, Teller talks.
Wow.
But also, like, just saying, "Hello, I'm Teller" is, like, so humble and, like, totally the cool thing to do. Like, not to assume you know who he is, or, like, but also I'm on your show. Like, of course I know who you are. It short-circuited my brain. So fine. Talked about a few of our mutual friends, and we start to go. Now, without giving too much away, I want to be careful here. Now, one other thing, too, the video that got me on the show was actually a video of me teaching this card effect.
Okay.
And it is a full 20-minute deep dive of the intricacies of this very complex method. And it was on my friend's YouTube channel, Brian Brushwood, and he's actually good friends with Teller. So, and he was actually in the audience during the filming. So when I was talking with Teller, I was like, "Oh, do you know if Brian's here in the audience tonight?" He was the one who filmed the video for this and everything. So if someone does want to sit down and follow the full intricacies of this very complex method, go ahead. be my guest. But because I do think, and Penn even says it in the thing afterwards, where it is one of those things where it is more fun to know because the intricacies are so interesting. And I do believe he's right. So that's why I have no problem. If people want the mystery, they can have it. If they don't, they can look it up. It'll be the video probably right underneath it when you Google the Fool Us video. So there's a moment. So basically, I'm always going to know. I won't go into how, but I'm going to know, and the producers know this, by the way. So the producers, and there's another producer and consultant who knows this, that Penn's card is always going to be a spade, and I need Teller to shuffle cards at one point, not shuffle at another point, and shuffle at another point. That's all that's what I'll say for the context of the story. That hopefully gives it context without giving too much away for people who do choose mystery for this.
Sure.
So there's a moment where I'm doing the full performance, and it's going well. People are chuckling at the jokes and everything. But I'm turned away, and I never take my eyes off audience members, but the consultant told me very clearly, they're like, "Penn Teller won't do anything you don't tell them to do. For the people at home, we don't want them to think you're using marked cards or peeking, so it's okay to just not look at them. It's okay." Like, okay. So I was like, okay, I'll listen to the expert. I'll take my eyes off Teller. I go, "Penn, has Teller done shuffling that packet?" He says, "Yep." And he's putting it back, and he's picking up the other pile, and he's shuffling. So Teller did stuff just that little bit out of order that made the whole thing not work.
Oh.
Now, I know it hasn't worked, but I also know if I say anything now, Penn and Teller are going to know this is the moment that's important. I also have confirmed with the person in the booth that if anything goes wrong, they're going to say there was a technical issue, and we'll just start over from the beginning. So Penn and Teller won't know anything went wrong with my thing. They'll just think a camera didn't go on. The audience wouldn't know anything went wrong with my thing. We'll just start over. No problem, right? So I'm waiting for that to come. I'm waiting for the voice of God to come. In a routine about me losing my religion, I'm waiting for the voice of God to come. And ironically, the voice of God never comes. So I just stop. The consultant's name is Mike, and I just stop, and I go, "Mike, are we good?" And everyone kind of chuckles for a moment, and I know producers are scrambling, like, what's going on? What did we miss? Whatever. And they come over saying, "Joe, your mic is good, but yeah, one of the cameras wasn't working. We need you to take this again from the top."
Oh.
I'm like, "Oh." So I get all set to do it again, and the audience kind of goes, but the audience is now rooting for me. And this is the other unique thing. you'd think having to do all the same jokes again a second time would take all the energy and fun out. Everything killed the second time. I did pretty good the first time. The second time, killed. Penn and Teller were funnier. They leaned in at different parts. They so much of what you see on TV is from that second take. But here's the other thing. Penn and Teller now get to see everything a second time. So I know in the back of my head, my chances of fooling them went from 50-50 to 0. But that's okay because I know that, and now I'm looser, and everything what you see on TV is, again, like 95% from that second take, and it's so much better because of it. It goes well. I got to read Brooke Burke's palm, which life achievement unlocked there.
Of course.
When she hugged me, I was just like, send me home. Yeah, well, I'm definitely not getting the plastic trophy, but I just hugged Brooke Burke in my arms. That's the prize. Like,
yes.
Come on. That's fine. That's fine. And I did technically predict the outcome. I won't spoil it for people who haven't seen it, but I'm very happy with how it all went down. Again, my mentor, Brian, was in the audience. He told me how it played out in the audience. He told me, don't worry. They're going to edit it, make it all look good. Great. The next morning, I'm waiting for the van to come. There's a crew member van that takes us from the Rio All Suites and Hotel to the airport. And it's on the flight to fly home. I'm having breakfast, and I look over, and I see Andrew, one of the producers. And I go over and thank him. You've sent all these videos. You've been working hard to get on the show. Go over and thank him. So I go over to thank him. I say, thank you. This is a great dream come true. He says, hey, Joe, don't worry about the flub yesterday. It'll all look good in the edit. We were debating in the booth, though. How did you know Penn didn't have a spade? It's like, what do you mean? He had a spade. He's like, no, in the first take, Penn didn't have a spade. He had he had like a red card, like I was like 7 of diamonds. He's like, yeah. Wait, what? How'd you know that? And I realized there is one thing that Teller could have done. It's a 1 in a million shot that Teller could have done to screw it up from the very beginning. Not meaning to. But he did it. Now, I had a backup, which was the 7 of diamonds. But it would have made everything else a little, again, not as clean. But I would have had a backup because I'm going on TV. I had a backup.
Of course.
So he's like, but wait, how'd you know that? I was like, well, no, Teller shuffled when it wasn't supposed to. He's like, oh. No, we were wondering if the suit was different for online. We were debating back and forth if it was okay if it was diamonds or if it was still going to be spades. And I just looked at him and went, no, the whole take would have been not usable because we would have gotten to the end and I would have just been wrong. We would have taken the whole thing again, but the audience would not have been on my side. They would have been like, this guy can't even find 2 cards. Okay. Now, the other thing, too, in a normal show, I could use any number of skills, reading, body language, a million things to actually get the cards from them. But for the rules of the show, you have to use the method that you've cleared with all the producers and everything. So it's like, well, I couldn't do any of. So I would have just fallen flat on my face. I wouldn't have had the audience on my side. We would have had to have just gone again with me failing, not the cameras failing. And I'm like, the magic god saved me. And I get in the van, we're flying, and I'm like, Eugene, you're looking down or up at me, and you're just laughing. And I realized we filmed on August 8th, the anniversary of Eugene's passing. Eugene Berger, the gentleman who taught me that trick, passed away on August 8th back in 2017. And we filmed on August 8th in 2023. So I literally had the spirit of my mentor looking over me. And it gets even weirder because the show airs. I email everyone to say thank you, including that Mike guy who I always wondered since we filmed this, like, why didn't Mike step in? He said he would step in. Why didn't Mike? Did he just not notice? Was there a million things going on that day? And he emailed me back saying, hey, Joe, thanks so much. Sorry, I couldn't give you any more notes the day of. I had to go to the hospital that day, so I wasn't on site for.
Oh.
So yeah, I'm like, oh, no.
You take that from a skeptical point of view and just start adding up the odds.
Yeah.
That's insanity.
Like, out of all 63 things that got selected, it's the piece that he taught me, first of all. Just, okay, so we've got that odds. Combined with everything else, it's like, it's, you know, it's what's the skeptic's version of a miracle? Serendipity.
Yeah, or a coincidence.
Needle in a haystack, finding the farmer's daughter. I found the farmer's daughter, I think.
Absolutely.
Like seriously, I still think about it, and I'm just like, oh my, the spirits were with me that night on stage in Las Vegas. Like, okay, and like, I'm both thrilled, like it warms my heart that this is something that I get to just tell people and share, that because it's so showbiz that the real magic part of it is never seen on camera, and you'll never see or even know about it. Which is why TV is not real life, but which there's a lot we can go into with that. But at the same time, like it just showed me like just how much you have to take upon yourself. You have like, yes, I and here's the thing too, like I'm very proud of the fact that I never gave up. Like I sent them stuff. I got so close several years too, where they were sending me dates but not sending me a yes. And like, I think they had me on a back burner one year because they figured that since I didn't have any props, I could just come in. So, and I pitched them a lot of different things over the years and just never worked out. So I am very proud that I just never gave up. I always stuck with it. And there's a lot to life when it comes to that, but man, it's also very humbling when you just never give up and there's still just a big fat reminder that you are in a capital M mystery in this universe.
Count, you want to play the clip real quick?
You know, we got it right here.
Yeah, so I would say so. Joe, Count wants to play the clip, so let's play the clip so people can kind of see at home and hear at home what Joe went through, and then when we come back, let's talk to Joe about talking to Penn and Teller.
Right, here we go.
Sure. Yeah.
Next act, we couldn't get Joe Clubs, Joe Spades, or Joe Hart, but we did get Joe Diamond.
Pretty good.
Hey, that's
Hello, Teller. Hello, Las Vegas. Yes.
Look at
I
this
am
guy.
Joe Diamond.
So sure.
That's diamond as in rare, unique, and valuable, and Joe as in average. I'm right in the sweet spot. I specialize in magic of the mind. Mentalism, psychic phenomena. I'm not a medium. I'm a large.
There it is.
Before we begin, I have to tell you a quick story. Growing up, I went to a very religious school. It didn't take. So when I did card tricks, the teachers got seriously scared. I didn't use any marked cards or special sleight of hand or anything like that. So when I apparently read their minds and revealed their selected cards, some thought Satan must be secretly helping me. So, as punishment, they took my cards away. Yeah, it could have been worse. They could have burned me at the stake. So, Teller, as a former teacher yourself, it'll be your job to confiscate this deck of cards from me at the end of the performance. Okay? But for right now, could you cut about a third of the deck towards you? Okay? Yeah, about a third. Perfect. And Penn, could you cut about a third of the deck towards you? And I don't want to look at Penn's card in a moment, Teller, so keep eye contact with me. Are the cards in front of you, Penn?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Could you take a peek at the top card of your pile, Penn? Okay? Keep eye contact with me, Teller. Yeah? Remember it. Once you remember the top card, Penn, show it to the audience.
I do have to show it to the audience.
Yeah.
I was keeping it to myself.
Okay, yeah, show it to the audience.
Yeah.
And put it back on top. Give me a thumbs up once he's done that, Teller. Yeah. Penn, could you shuffle that pile?
I sure can.
All right, perfect. Shuffle them up. In fact, keep shuffling them until I ask you to stop.
I will.
Okay? Because I don't want you to think Satan is helping me. So shuffle the hell out of those. Yeah. Now, Teller, you might recall this is the top of the deck. So you know that I could know something about the first few cards. So shuffle them up so there's nothing I could know. Okay? And Penn will keep eye contact with me while you do that. I'm feeling a tingling sensation.
Me too.
How that moment on TV,
I think it's meant to be. All right.
It felt like Penn was
Let me
super
pause
close.
it right there.
Yeah.
When Penn says that to you with eye contact, it feels like he's right in your face.
Yeah, that would have been. I would have wet myself on TV.
But again, that was from the second take, so he knew I was setting him up for that.
Of course.
Behind a TV magic here.
So, because like the first time I was like, I'm feeling a tingling sensation. How about you? And he goes, I do. And it was very subdued. But for the second take, notice I didn't even say, how about you? I was like, I'm feeling a tingling sensation. Me too. Just perfect. Perfect. Okay, continue.
Here we go.
Continue.
Teller done shuffling.
He is.
Okay. Teller, could you take a peek at your top card? Okay. Penn, you can put your cards down here for right now. And pick up these cards and shuffle them. Okay?
Over the bottom, right?
Yeah, shuffle those cards up. Make sure I don't get any glimpses of any of them.
Okay.
Once the audience knows your card, Teller, place it back on top, and Teller, pick up these cards next. And just give those one more shuffle. And drop those on top. Has he done that? Has he done that?
Yes.
All right, drop those on top.
Yes, I will.
All right, perfect. All right. Now, I know what you were thinking a moment ago as you were shuffling those cards. You were thinking, wow, this Joe Diamond guy kind of looks like a mystical James Corden.
Oh, yeah. We spare no expense here at Bob After Dark with that love
There we go.
YouTube
Also
premium.
thinking about how you were sick of shuffling the damn
What
cards.
was happening?
Yeah, exactly. So, I can honestly say at this point, I genuinely have no idea what either of your cards are yet. However, I'm going to try to figure it out using a skill I learned once I left religious school and went to college. Not clown college, Penn. Card college. Could you please place your hand on mine? Yes, and concentrate. I'm getting some Dylan, some Tiny Tim, a couple George Carlin bits. I'm so sorry. Think of just the card, Penn.
Okay.
Just the card. It's black.
Pause real quick.
Yes, pause
Yes.
back.
Right
Yes.
there, one on there. There you go.
So right before I had Penn place his hand on mine was everything we had done in the first take. From here on out, it's all new territory for everyone. And if you notice, there is a shift in both Penn, Teller, me, and the audience, because we're now in the room. I even pulled a Deadpool and went all caught up. Just that was both for me, the audience, everyone, but also like for whoever had to future edit this debacle, just like, here you go, editor, you're welcome. But also, so there was a brief moment where I debated on swearing in this, on being censored, because they will just bleep you. If I was gonna say, I know this, I know you're thinking this Joe Diamond guy looks like a mystical James Corden, mother father, but it was so hard to deliver without tripping over the line, and I knew they were going to bleep it anyway, so I just changed it midway through it. And the producers were actually kind of bummed I had dropped that line, because it was in the original script too. That was one of the few lines that had transitioned over, and this was one that stuck with it as well. And so, because again, like the whole back and forth of this is like, I really know what Penn and Teller are thinking. Like, you're skeptics. I know you don't believe in this stuff. I know you want to shuffle those. I know you're bored now. I know that was the way I wanted to design it. But like from here on out, like you see a little bit of that, the nervous tension on my face, the checking, the wondering. And the relief coming up, 0% acting, all real. You will never see me more real on any stage anywhere in my entire life than from here to the end of this performance. Because it's like, because now I'm just like, well, don't screw up now. So when you see the relief of me at the end, and when I say hallelujah, I mean it. So okay, we'll go through to the end.
All right.
Of course.
Here we go.
It's a spade.
Yes.
I believe I have it. Don't say a word. Come back to you in a moment.
Okay.
Teller, could you please think of the card and place your hand on mine? Place your hand back on mine once more, Pen. I have to be honest, this has nothing to do with mind reading. I just wanted to be touched by greatness. Keep thinking of your card. I think I've got it. I believe this is yours. This is my moment of truth. Teller, I believe this is yours. And Pen, what was yours?
10 of spades.
Look at that face of relief.
Yeah, thank you.
Joe Diamond, everyone. Joe, you've been trying to get on the show for a long time. Can you believe that you're finally here?
I cannot. Yes.
You said you do lots of mind magic.
Yes.
Do you ever do palm reading?
Funny you should say. When I was 14, I watched a small little travel show that you hosted. Yes. 14? And yes. I'm 16 now, so it's okay. It's okay. I shaved the beard and I look the same. It's fine. So I actually paused the show at a point where your hand was showing because I wanted to read your palm and I wanted to see if we were soulmates.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you read it again in high definition?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do I
Yeah. And may I take it?
Of course.
Okay.
Look at Joe.
Oh, I do see your soulmate is a slightly overweight mentalist from the Midwest. So the biggest thing I will say, there's all the basic lines, but the one line you have that I'm not surprised by is something called a sister line. It just basically means someone's looking out for you, and you have a very blessed life.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, and look at him hug her.
Okay, Joe, let's see if your magic fooled Penn and Teller.
Yeah. All right.
Boys?
Yes.
Joe, this is really the kind of trick that I really like the most. When you said mentalism, most people think of that as ESP, but it's really a mind trick that you really have to think about, and it's really, really clever. It's one of the things in magic that is more fun to know because the intricacies are so clever, and then you put on top of that such a street top on it that no one thinks it's a math professor kind of trick. And I really like that, the fact you do it so humbly and so I'm just an average Joe while you're actually having to do an awful lot of thinking. And you're a wonderful performer, and we liked you right from the beginning. And you made that crack about me going to clown college, and I will say, I went to clown college, but you went to card college.
Yes.
And I don't think you fooled us.
So the Schwartz is with you.
Yes.
I had a feeling. About that. No, seriously, because I had that feeling before I came out here. I had a premonition. So I wrote this down before I even came out here. Absolutely.
Correct.
Yeah. Correct.
No way.
I had the sense.
No way you could have known that.
I nailed it.
And their sign says, "I predict I will not
fool
Penn
Penn
and
and
Teller."
Teller.
That's it. There you go.
So I worked with my friend Brian Brushwood, who again knows Teller, was the person who, whose channel I made the initial video for that I then sent to the producers. He's done the show too. He actually did psychic surgery on Fool Us way back in like the second season. He did a version of it. And so I actually worked with him on the phrasing and how to build it up and everything for the walk-off bit. And he was the one who really drove home that, like, no, you're not going on to do a mind reading thing. You're not going on to do cards. You're going on to show the best possible version of you. And this is just another way to showcase that. So all the way up till the end, I had a good walk-off plan, and I did not tell any of the producers about that either. My rule was, if they asked about it, I would tell them, but no one asked me if I had any plans for any gags or lines or anything for walking off stage, and so I just had it on me all the way. And my personal, not personal, but there's the executive producers, the talent producers, and everything. The one who was there from told me I got the gig to all the way was off stage. As I walk off stage, Samantha, as I walk off stage, she's like, "Did you tell Lincoln and Andrew they're the big producers? Did they know you were going to do that?" I was like, "No, they never asked. And I didn't know I was going to need it." She's like, "Oh, that's gutsy." So we stayed there for a few moments. No one was calling me back out to do any reshoots. So it was like, and it was the last thing. So it was like, all right, time to go. And also let me say this too, Brooke Burke couldn't be nicer, couldn't be sweeter, couldn't be more attractive in person. now, Bob, there's, I not to put a hierarchy on physical attractiveness in any business.
Of course.
But we've met people who have been on camera.
Yes.
And we go, "Oh, there's a reason you look good on camera."
Yeah.
Not to say they look bad in person, but it's like, "Oh, you are photogenic. I get why you work on camera." I saw Brooke in passing backstage on my way to rehearsal. Now, granted, yes, she was in makeup, but she wasn't in show-ready makeup. Yes, she was in yoga pants. Yeah, they were designer yoga pants and everything, but like, she was just on a phone call backstage. But she was just in yoga pants backstage, and she was still so much more beautiful in person that I want to say the cameras are unkind to her. Could not be more nice. And again, this is under harsh fluorescent lights in a cinder block hallway in the back hallway of a Las Vegas theater. So like, could not be more unflattering for anybody. And she's already the most, gorgeous person ever in person. But then you put on top of it, she's also super nice, super warm. And I didn't predict I was going to get a hug. So the fact that like again, when she hugged me, I was just like, just send me home. Just send me home. I'm done. Everything's downhill from here.
A couple questions for you, Joe. Where does, without making you go into a full biography here, where does magic start with you? Because you and I have spoke a lot over the years, but what's your secret origin story? Where does that come from? Because I know
it starts with Ghostbusters.
That's why I wanted to hear it.
It kind of does. Because, I was into the strange and unusual as a kid. I obviously didn't process this when I was 5, 6, 7, but like reading books on magic.
The Time Life books. I know you and I bond over that often.
Oh yeah, the Time Life books, of course, but also just performance magic.
Of course.
Everything from card tricks to sleight of hand, even though I wasn't particularly good at sleight of hand, still not. But that's why I stick to the mind reading stuff. That's the other thing. Like my family was always like, "Oh, Joe, when you were younger, you're so good at that sleight of hand stuff." They finally went and saw a real top-notch sleight of hand guy that is the guest act at the Tristan Chris Theater. His name is Brett Daniels. He does the show with Tristan every week, and I'm doing my solo show there this spring. But my family went to see them because Tristan's partner Shannon, her and I grew up together, and that's how we all know each other. So they went to see their show and everything. And afterwards, my dad was like, "Oh my God, what Brett was doing was incredible." I was like, "Yeah, now you see why I specialize in mind reading." I looked at people like that. Like, in my late teens, I went, well, I'm never going to be that good as good as that. So I better find my own niche. And he's like, yes, I get it now, Joe. Yes. I was like, yay, I got validated by a parent. Yay. But that's the real origin story there. But yeah, it was that. But yeah, being obsessed with like UFOs, crop circles, ghost stories. I think I was drawn to performance magic in general at first because it was a way to make those things real. And then when you get into things like hypnosis and mind reading and those aspects of the art from Sideshow too, I became friends with some sword swallowers who taught me skills like hammering a nail in my nose and sticking my hand in an animal trap. And you realize, oh, these things that people think are tricks are actually real. Like that's kind of cool. So there's that whole undercurrent to it all as well. Yeah, it's again, I was always interested in all sorts of strange and unusual stuff as a kid growing up, and yeah, this just I consider myself very lucky that I get to all the stuff I got to pretend at doing as a kid, I get to do for real now as a grown up.
So you're a paranormal enthusiast. That's where you and I met, and where we first started talking was you're a paranormal enthusiast as well as I am. Now that you know the realm of performance magic and you know how things work, I'm going to reference Amazing Randy here, who is a brilliant skeptic and knew how things worked.
Penn Teller's mentor.
Exactly. Yep. Same concept. Penn Jillette is a proclaimed skeptic. I've listened to him speak to Josh Gates about the afterlife. He's very, very prolific in that world.
Oh, interesting. You'll have to send me that. I'd be fascinated to watch that conversation.
It's an interesting one to say the least. He has a very, very interesting way of proclaiming how death works in his mind. But when, in your case, as somebody who knows how some of this stuff works, and you're able to, go and debunk things, right? Because it just kind of comes with the territory. Is the paranormal ruined for you now as somebody who understands how things can work and how the mind can be tricked? Does it ruin it for you, or does it heighten it for you, or is it just like a...
No, it doesn't ruin it for me. In fact, I was going to say it probably does the exact opposite for me personally. And in many ways, I respect other people's artistic points of views, like Penn and Teller, but I could not be wired differently to approach this art form or life any differently. I see it as this is a reminder that the world is filled with the universe is filled with mystery, and yes, there's a lot surface level that performance magic gives us in our relation to I'll say ritual magic. Not everything,
of course.
Magic with a K.
Magic with a K, yes.
When I say ritual magic, like I'm even talking about gemstones and palmistry and paranormal investigation. That's a pretty broad umbrella, but so is the umbrella of performance magic. So, but I think your listener, you definitely know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I do. Yes.
They're smart enough to know what I mean when I'm talking about when I say performance magic and ritualistic magic. So I think yes, there is this and Penn and Teller of the mindset that yes, this shows that performance magic shows that we can be fooled and that ritualistic magic can be manipulated and faked, and we can come to believe things that aren't true. Yes, absolutely. But lots of things can bring us to that conclusion.
Right.
Seeing an optical illusion can make us realize we're wrong. Hearing a joke, hearing a joke that has a twist at the end where we had an assumption that is wrong and that's twisted, that reminds us that our assumptions are wrong. Like, I don't think performance magic is unique in that case. I think performance magic is a lot like horror movies in that it it's going for a very specific emotional reaction. And if it's in line with horror movies, if it's bad, it's usually bad for the same reasons. Like, a bad movie is almost the same reason there's a bad magic show or bad magician. And we could get into all that. That's a whole other.
Oh yeah, of course.
But as far as ritualistic magic and performance magic, I think good performance magic, which I'm now going to recontextualize as mystery entertainment.
Yes, that's a good term, by the way.
Yes. First, as far as I know, coined by Max Maven, who was a friend of my mentor Eugene Berger, and I met Max a few times, and he was a mentalist, and he fascinating guy as well. But he kind of made me realize that if like there's lots of mysterious things in the world. And on one level, whether those mysterious things are quote unquote, outside of the normal, or I'll say supernatural.
Sure.
I actually love the term paranormal because it doesn't mean it has to be supernatural. It just has to be outside the normal.
Yes.
That's why I've often said what I do is paranormal, because it's not normal, but it's either. And there is a time where something as simple as radio, what we're doing right now, would be labeled as paranormal. We're speaking into boxes that transmit our voices into the ether, that go across the waves and come out. That sounds like early 19th century spiritualism. Like it sounds like it when you put it in those terms. But I think what good mystery entertainment does, and what everything from, hopefully my show or a good magic show, or even just a good, just simple piece of magic performed by, an uncle, can do is it can open your mind up to possibilities and the mysteries of the universe. It can really allow you to go, wow, what does this mean? Because I have people saying all the time, like, oh, does everyone think of that card? And I have to kind of turn off my skeptic's brain that goes, no, stupid, not everyone says the 3 of clubs. Like, why you think there's a psychological thing that makes everyone say the same card? Because what they're ultimately saying, the deeper question is, do I have free will? That's what they're really saying. I have to turn off my own brain to really appreciate what they're actually saying. And sometimes I even have to remind other people of that as well. Because I have said, some people go, oh, bet you everyone says that, huh? And I go, well, either I really sent you this thought, or what you said, and you don't have free will. Believe whatever scares you the least.
I love that. Colin, we've been doing this a hot minute. We don't get there's a lot of prolific things that people say, but Joe's dialogue there was extremely prolific.
I would say so.
Joe, congrats on that, man. I'm eating out of the palm of your hand here. And because you said
this is my new cult, Diamondism. Yeah,
Diamondism. I'm your first follower in Diamondism.
Forever.
It's very rare we have prolific things.
We talk about stuff, and that's great, but the great mysteries of life, Joe just was able to define what a mystery of life is by not giving us a definition, and I absolutely loved it. So good.
Well, thank you.
Now, Joe, I can't let you go without asking you really nicely, because Count and I have been very good boys this entire show. Can we have can we get a trick, please?
Of course.
Yeah.
He's arfing like a seal again.
Here's the question. First off, do you have cards nearby?
No, I do not. I forgot about. Do we have a deck of cards in the studio?
Okay. I don't think we do here.
That is all right. Well, we're gonna do something else then.
Sounds good.
So we're going to do this. across the screen. Now, the way, do you have pen and paper? Do you have pen and paper?
Yeah, Count's got it, right? Count, you got some.
I got, yeah.
Hey, Count's got it. Go get it, Count. Get to work, Count. Chop, chop.
And,
Here, Bob.
Okay, excellent.
Got your phone nearby, Bob?
I do. Hold on. I'm going to go grab some paper from Count. I'll be right back.
He's grabbing some paper right now. So as Bob makes a mad dash for some paper right there. I got paper too.
Cool.
You got a pen too? All right. Thank you there, Bob. Bob is rushing back to his headset right now as we speak.
Perfect.
And he's sitting down and he's putting on his headset. And he is back live and in.
All right, I'm back.
Now I actually can't see you, Bob. Now I'm going to ask you to do this, Bob, and Panic. You can verify that. We're on Zoom, but
yes.
I'm just seeing the logo. Even if I were to pull up like the screen in my corner or something like that, make sure that everything Bob does is out of frame. So you're going to kind of be the eyes and ears for that home people while Bob does
Count and people at home can verify I am off camera, but I'm
show
still
him right there. Bob is off camera.
I'm off camera. I'm on the side desk. You can still hear me. Perfect. I didn't rip out a cord, did I?
So,
Count?
Bob,
no, you're good.
Before we do this, I just want to bring up a topic that I've really enjoyed thinking about these last few years, which is parallel universes.
Okay.
Parallel dimensions. You know, the idea that somewhere out there, or maybe just on the other side of our reality, there's a universe just like ours, but just a little bit different. You know, just twisted, just ever so slightly different. You know, like for example, in I think about the different kinds of, multiverse movies are really popular now. So I like to think about different parallel dimensions that we could find ourselves in. Like, for example, a parallel dimension where everything's the same, except there's giant pieces of gum with little teeny tiny tables stuck underneath.
Clever.
In that universe, or a parallel universe where when you do laundry, you gain a sock, right? Another parallel universe, or this could all be the same universe. Maybe it's just everything's the same, just slightly opposite. Everything's just slightly opposite. So there's that table, there's that sock. Oh, and in those parallel universes, when you're at a crosswalk, when you push the button, that button actually does something. So we're going to explore that parallel universe in a moment. So what I want you to do is I want you to write down a 3-digit number for me, Bob. Now, here a couple minor rules. First of all, make sure all 3 digits are different. Okay, don't just do 111 for obvious reasons, which will be important in a moment. Don't do any zeros.
Okay.
'Cause 0 is like infinity. It's not really a number. I want cold hard data for this, actual numbers. And finally, don't repeat any numbers anywhere in it. Okay?
Yeah, I'm going to monitor Bob while this is all going on.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So go ahead and write down that 3-digit number. Okay.
Okay.
Can he show it to me or no?
No, don't show it to anybody.
Okay.
Okay.
We didn't do it.
No.
Okay. But just give us a clear, I've written down the number once you've written it down.
Yes.
Are you good?
I'm good. I've written down my number.
Good. Okay, good. All right. Now think about this for a moment, Bob. In this, if there was this opposite universe, there'd be an opposite you, an opposite me. Everything would be just the same, except the other you would have written down those same numbers, but reversed. So just for example, let's say, I don't know what you wrote down right now. I haven't done anything to figure it out yet. So I genuinely don't know what it is. But let's just say you wrote down 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The parallel universe of you version, the opposite version of you, would have written down the opposite. They would have written down 3, 2, 1, right?
Yes.
So do that for me now. Write down those same 3 numbers, but reversed. Okay.
Okay. And I'm done.
You're done. Okay. Now think about this for a moment, Bob. If this parallel universe exists, this is probably the first time you and your doppelganger has ever truly been in sync.
Okay. Hopefully it's not evil, Bob. That'd be terrifying.
It's not evil, Bob, but no, everything's the same. Just this little thing is the opposite. But think about it. If they wrote down the opposite numbers, they reversed them and wrote down what you originally wrote, and you just did the opposite. So now the two of you both have the same 2 3-digit numbers in front of you, right?
Right.
And there's no way for me to know anything about those.
No, and it'd be astronomical, the odds of you doing that. It'd be nuts.
Yes, exactly. And I'm not relying on odds for this.
That's good.
Even if I wouldn't do anything. Now, one final step, Bob. Just tell us. We'll get to your parallel version of yourself in a moment, your doppelganger in a moment. Those 2 3-digit numbers, what would you do with them? Would you add them or would you subtract them?
Myself, I would add them.
You would add them. So that means your opposite version would subtract them, right?
Yes.
So do that for me now. Put the smaller number beneath the bigger number. And this is where you can use your calculator if you want, just to save time. No judgment at all. But subtract smaller number from the bigger number. Okay? And so now you'll have a completely random number that even you didn't know you would have. And that's all I'm going to have you do. I'm not going to have you do anything else with it or check the digits or anything. I'm just going to have you do that. So that way you and your parallel version of yourself, your doppelganger, have both you've gotten in sync for a moment and then both went off on a completely different tangent. Because if you're doing what your doppelganger did, the doppelganger would do what you did, and you're both off in your own opposite directions.
Yeah.
Creating infinite multiverses just from this. So you should have a brand new number now, right? Still a 3-digit number, or did you get down to 2 digits?
2 digits.
Got down to 2 digits. Okay, perfect. Now, some people, if they're listening, they may have done this and they may have gotten down to 3 digits. That's totally fine. So here's what I want you to do. I just want you to look at those 2 digits in front of you and don't say anything. Just listen to my voice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And finally, could you just count from 1 to 9 out loud for us, Bob, just once?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I normally get two. I normally pick up on 2 numbers, but I'm only picking up on 1, which probably tells me that both numbers are the same number. Yes.
Yeah.
This is 99.
Close, kinda. If you flip it over,
it's 66.
It's 66.
Wow.
So there we go. We had the opposite from the.
That would have been the opposite number from the parallel dimension.
How about that?
Yeah.
You want to? You got it written down?
I got it written down here.
Bring it on camera. Let's see.
I will. So
bring it on camera so we can see.
Bob's making his way. You could go back to the desk there, Bob.
Okay. Yeah.
Bob's walking back to the desk.
There we go. I'm back in the desk. There we go. So my tiny math down there at the bottom, it's 66.
That's fine. Yeah. So you can see how this works. Wow. And again, this is across long distance. Now, in this current in-person show I'm doing in Lake Geneva now. Now, you've seen my in-person shows.
Yes.
That have been more intimate, again, like I've said, with 13 people. What I'm doing with the stage show in Lake Geneva, it's a bigger theater show. They seat about 175, which sounds like a lot. Until you compare it with Penn and Teller's 1,500 person theater. This theater in Lake Geneva, their last row is closer than Penn and Teller's front row at the Rio. The Rio is huge. So it's still very intimate, and it's a full 90-minute show, and it's super interactive. In fact, because I've been playing bigger and bigger venues and people do have stage fright, I've been having people write their names down on permission slips and dropping them in a bowl. So that way, not only can I pick people at random so people know that, okay, it's, it's not set up ahead of time, but also that way people know if they don't want to participate, they're not going to get called on. So that helps with that as well. But the other thing too, is that the second half of the show is everyone in the audience reading my mind and teaching the audience how to use their intuition better. So I'm going to do a kind of a version of that with you, and the other listeners can play along with some of these as well, Bob. So I've got 3 of my business cards here.
Okay.
Right, and we'll do this, and people listening can follow along, and we'll see how close they get. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do, Bob. I'm going to send you 3 thoughts. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'll project them through Zoom. I'll project them through the airwaves. I think you'll get these. I think some of your listeners will get some of these as well. I'm only looking for you to get close, okay? It's okay if we're not exact on all of these, all right?
Okay.
Okay, so first I'll write this, let me write this down. And I will keep this in frame the whole time. So I'll put this first card. So again, I've got 3 of these in my hand. I'm just going to put this one behind the others, just to clarify for people listening. You can't see it, but I can't change my mind. It's up in frame, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I want you to imagine you walk in to a library. We go to the metaphysical section, because of course we do.
Of course we do.
And giant wall, just goes floor to ceiling, one corner of the building to the other corner of the building. It's just massive, and you look up and down the books, and one book catches your eye. Doesn't have any words on it, but it's a very interesting cover. You take it off the shelf, and tell us what I'm going to project to you the color I'm visualizing. What color is that book?
Gray.
Interesting. Okay, so like a shiny gray, a dull gray,
very dull, smoky gray.
Smoky gray. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, smoky gray. Okay, perfect. Okay. Okay, so that's the first thought. For the second thought, imagine you start flipping through the pages, and while you do that, I'm going to write down a page number. Don't guess a page number yet. I'm going to write this. I'm going to write this down.
Okay.
All right. I've written down a 2-digit number. Again, for everyone listening, I'm putting it behind the other so you can't see it and I can't change my mind. Yes, everything's in frame. Imagine you're flipping through the book and you stop on a 2-digit page number. Now, here's the only other hint you get. Both digits are different and no zero. Okay? No zeros, and both digits are different. What's the page number, Bob?
Say it out loud.
Yeah.
76.
76. Perfect. I think someone listening may be freaking out because they got the opposite, so that's perfect. Now imagine you're looking up and down the words. I'm going to write down a word here. And actually, I'm going to cross that out. I'm going to do a different one. Hang on one second.
Sure.
I'm going to do this. I think, this one will be better for you. So again, just like before, I'm going to put this one behind the others, okay? So you can't see it, but I can't change my mind, just like before. Okay, so this goes behind the others. So it's right here. So I'll make this nice and simple. Don't think about this too much. Take a deep breath for me, Bob. And as you exhale, as quick as you can, say out loud a verb, something you could do right now.
Run.
That's great. Okay, we did really good. Really good.
Okay.
All of us have been in frame, yes?
Yes.
Bob?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I take the blame for this. I totally take the blame for this. So right here's the word. I shouldn't have changed my mind. I think that confused you a little bit. Maybe someone got the other word. I originally wrote down run, but I crossed it out.
Wow. How about that? Yeah.
So if anyone else got jump, we'll count it, but I'm going to give
I'll
that.
count it. It's still good.
That's good.
You said, I think someone listening got the opposite, but you also got the page number. You did get that spot on. That's and for the color, I did like a smoked gray. So again, I'll count that as close enough. So that's our trip to the imaginary library. I think that's about 90% accurate. I'd say we did pretty well.
Yeah, you knocked it out of the park.
Good job.
Bob is in hysterics right now.
That's amazing, Joe.
Good.
You're a spectacle.
Thank you. You're a spectacle.
Oh, something.
So speaking of spectacle, real quick, I have to give my props to the Tristan Chris Magic Theater in Lake Geneva. The theater, it's very intimate, but they've got such great production values. I saw a couple shows while I was in Vegas while filming for Penn and Teller's show. The Penn and Teller Theater is beautiful. It's huge. It's gorgeous. This is just as nice as any of the best theaters in Vegas. In fact, Penn and Teller's theater notwithstanding, I would say it's nicer than just about any theater in Vegas, because most of those theaters, they need to become anything else, like overnight sometimes. But this theater has been built from the ground up for, magic, mystery performances. They've had jugglers, they've had world-class sleight of hand artists. And I'm lucky enough to be doing a full spring run every Friday throughout the spring. It's going to be 90 minutes. It's going to be on Friday nights. I know a lot of people come out to the Midwest area, both up and down and all that. So if you're going to make your way through Lake Geneva, there's also some cool spooky stuff around Lake Geneva too. So it's worth the trip. The creator of Dungeons and Dragons is from there. His grave's there too. So that's super cool. So make it a weekend. But it's going to be a limited run just for April and May. I've got some other stuff in the works that I can't announce yet. Of course, I'll be doing stuff for Halloween. I'll be announcing that soon, very, very soon. But for as far as the closest to a Vegas spectacle, while still being interactive, while still being intimate, while still being about intuition and the things that connect us all, I'm really, really proud of this show. In many ways, it's my biggest show. In many ways, it's my most personal show, and I'm excited to see, because it does have, in the second half, I actually teach people how to use their intuition to answer a question about their lives. Like, you can ask a question you would normally ask a psychic or a tarot card reader, but I teach the whole audience. I perform it. I do it for several people, and then I teach everyone how they can do it in their everyday lives and use it to improve their lives as well. And so I'm real excited to be able to be pulling back the curtain in those areas. So I'm really hoping that I'm real excited to see where this new form goes for me, because I'm used to just doing like 30 to 60 minutes again in one tight section. There's also a really creepy way I'm opening Act 2. I won't spoil it here, but
don't do that.
I at the tech rehearsals, the staff and some friends that have been in the room during it, they were like, "Oh yeah, that's." I'll say this much: they said exactly what I was hoping for, that it gave Claude Rains' Invisible Man vibes, which is exactly what I was going for. So I was like, yes. So I'm real excited for it. And again, it's like this, where I'm both sending and receiving thoughts throughout the audience, and the audience is able to pick up on thoughts as well in the second half. So yes, this what we did with Smoky Gray 76 and Run. This is just the beginning, Mike.
I love it. So, folks, if you want to find Joe Diamond, go see him live. Joe, where can people find your performances at so they can buy tickets? Because I'm going to go buy mine as soon as we get off the air for an April show to come see you at your new theater in Geneva. But where can people find you at?
You can go to JoeDiamondLive.com. You can go to JoeDiamondLive.com/Lake Geneva if you want to see tickets for that specific show. My schedule is always updating at JoeDiamondLive.com/schedule. Go to JoeDiamondLive.com for everything there. The Foolus clip is there. My schedule. If you know someone who's booking for corporate events or theater or paranormal event, I've got a booking form there. And of course, any social media of mine is at Joe Diamond Live on all platforms: Instagram, TikTok. Those Instagram and Facebook are the ones I'm most active on. I just started with TikTok, he says 3 years into TikTok. I still post there, and but I do the most on Instagram, Facebook, and of course YouTube. I've been posting lots of stuff there as well. I've been having fun with Reels lately. So cool. And I'm excited. I'm excited that you're gonna come see this new show, because it's something very special and something I'm very proud of. So also, it's kind of weird because the theater is playing the clip of me on Fool Us before I come on. So I think I'm going to be the only mentalist in history who's ever been his own opening act, which is very odd.
I love that.
Because I do all those jokes in the video, so I can't come out and do my usual jokes. It's gonna be
You better come up with some new material, Joe.
I had to write some new material. Yeah, exactly. So no, there is a moment. I'll spoil one other thing in the first half. There's a moment in the first half. I only do one thing with a deck of cards in the live show that I'm calling the human deck of cards, where everyone in the room thinks of a card, and I have to find the right. That's all I'll say. But everyone in the room is thinking of a card. So that's going to be really fun. To do that, and again, that's just the tiny little bits I can spoil. The stuff that I'm like most proud of in this show are survey after survey says people for this type of entertainment, they love surprises the most. So I go to like Marvel level like lengths to not spoil anything and keep certain things off social media, but the little things I can talk about, I try to make sure like that I can talk about and really build that up so people can get excited as I am.
Absolutely. Joe, thank you for coming back to the Bob After Dark first. I missed you. I
love this show. It's been great to see you grow with all of this.
Oh, well, thank you.
Great to see, all the amazing stuff you've been doing, and it's like, and again, like, just all like, it's always like, oh yeah. Well, also all the mutual friends we have now too.
Yes,
like,
it's a growing network. That always comes back to you, Joe.
I love when I'm like talking to people and they're like, oh yeah, I have a friend, he's Bob After Dark. Oh yeah, I know Bob. It's like, oh, you know Bob? It's like, yeah. Well, also, it should be the least impressive or shocking thing that you and I know each other. Also, like, let's really talk about that. Like, people can be happy, but it's not like, come on. Like, it's
100%. Colin, do you have any words to say to Joe before the night's over?
I'm mystified. I can't even say it. I just friend requested Joe there, so keep tabs on him, and I'm still trying to wrap my brain around what just happened here.
That was impressive. Yeah. Smoking Gray. That was the one that blew my mind the most, because it's like I loved it. Good job, Joe.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, you guys. Appreciate it. And yeah, again, like seeing you, meeting people. Whenever I run into people, it's like, and they, they're mutual friends or they listen to your show or something. It's always just so. Again, this community has always been great and really rewarding to be a part of, and it's so great that all us, fringe folks have kind of gathered together. It's like, come fellow weirdos, we take you in.
Yes.
So thank you again for having me, and I can't wait to see you soon.
Absolutely. All right, Panic, we can say goodbye to Joe for the evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you to Panic too. Thank you to Panic.
Oh, that's
there you go. No, please stop bowing.
You're gonna get that. His ego's gonna be in fly. I'm not gonna be able to get him out of the door, Joe.
There we go. Joe, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Diamond. We appreciate it, guys. Make sure you check out Joe Diamond live on the social media verse. This was a long episode, Cal.
Hey, we did it.
Yeah, that was a 10 out of 10. I'm exhausted.
Thank you, Joe. There you go.
All right. So why don't we call it a night?
Sure.
Unless you want to keep going for another 2 hours.
Now, the morning show.
I'm going to get there. Jim's going to come in and be like, what are you guys still doing here?
5 a.m. Yeah.
5 a.m. Maybe someday we'll do an all-night episode. Sure. But, Colin, you have any words for the audience tonight?
Everybody, practice your minds.
Make your minds
exercise those minds.
Yes. Yeah. Folks, real quick, this episode is 100% dedicated to my father. Tomorrow is his 2nd year anniversary of not being in our plane of reality. And Dad, I know you're listening somewhere. You're there. I know you are. I miss you every day, Dad, and I love you so much, and I hope you're doing whatever it is that you want to be doing in the universe. Folks, remember to hug your loved ones. Sometimes there's one time they're not going to be there, so just take that into consideration when you go about your days, and a day doesn't go by when I don't miss you, Dad. Think about you all the time, and the week leading up to this point has been hard, so now that I've been without you for 2 years, it's a weird feeling, but I know that you're still there, just not physically. Mom, I just want to wish you sweet dreams and good night, and to Tiff, no matter where you are in the world, I just want to wish you the sweetest dreams of them all. Good night, everybody. Remember, the 2 most important rules of Bob After Dark are not all who wander are lost, and as above, so below. Until next time.
Memoriam Development.